Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as usual, before I begin with this lesson, I want to start it off by giving all the glory and infinite praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakaha Kadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who I'm taught and learn this truth 100% from. Peace and blessings be to all you Wakim, that are serving Yahweh Shema Shah in sincerity, hoping for mercy and salvation in these last days, man. To you I say Shalom and Yahweh Shema Shai Brakathum. So this scripture is and will start yelling off the pages. 9 meals from Anarchy. And I got this quote who was it was quoted by Alfred Henry Lewis in 1906. Alright, 9 meals from Anarchy is a warning that societal breakdown can occur quickly if the food supply is disrupted, as just 9 missed meals, approximately 3 days, right? That's what it, is equivalent to, because most people here in the United States, or who live on the West in general, the average person eats about 3 meals a day, which is pretty much gluttony. All right, you got people that eat burgers and burritos in all type of heavy ass foods, morning, lunch. You got people that, eat things after lunch and at dinner and even past that. All right, so it's no secret that, the West promotes gluttony. All right, but anyways, could lead to widespread panic, desperation, and a breakdown of law and order. The phrase highlights the fragility of civilization and our dependence on food supply chains, suggesting that fear and the need to survive can override social norms and lead people to take desperate, often violent actions to feed themselves and their families. 9 meals from Anarchy, and I remember I did a lesson on this a little while back. All right, and the whole, stigma of the quote, I guess you could say, is that it only takes someone, right, or a civilization, 9 missed meals, which is equivalent to 3 days without food, before basically there's a societal breakdown. All right, before people go into a state of panic, they start stealing, they start rioting, basically before that society goes into chaos, man. All right, because the definition of anarchy, let's look at the definition real quick. Anarchy goes into a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority or other controlling systems. All right, so this is why I gave this lesson that title. This scripture is and will start yelling off the pages. All right, a quote that I got from watching the brother Amon Gabar. He did this lesson, as y'all see in the title. Food riots are coming. November 1st, food stamps, EBT snap, shit hitting the fan. All right, and he was going into, basically the SNAP benefits cut off November 1st, and how there's a lot of information coming out on how there's possibly going to be, food riots taking place, sometime in November. Now, will it happen? We don't know. But, we hope so. All right, we hope so, because we know that at some point some point on down the line, there is going to be, complete chaos in the cities where there are food riots happening and, a lack of bread, basically, a great famine, right? Because the scriptures talk about these things, man. All right, so the first scripture that I want to grab real quick before I play this TikTok is the book of Job 2. The book of Job 2 and 4, right? And this is Shaitan, the spiritual demon Satan, basically, having a conversation with the Most High, when you read on this chapter. All right, but there's a point that I wanted to get out of this, that he had, said. All right, because one thing about, these people is that they don't have an understanding of this truth. They don't know what the fuck going on. All right, and even if they do, all right, if you don't have the truth, then everything is basically, gonna be null and void, man. But this is Job 2:4, and Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. All right, and I wanted to apply that to basically the food riots that can possibly happen, in the month of November. All right, because without these people, or I'm gonna say without Jake, because other nations don't matter, but without Jake and without people having the knowledge of Yahweh Shema Shai, that's gonna cause them to go out there and make these dumb decisions instead of sitting back and depending on the Lord. All right, these people, they gonna be going and stealing shit because they don't understand what's going on, man. All they know is that I ain't getting food stamps. We finna be hungry, so we gonna steal shit. All right, when those that's of the know or that's in the know, Salaki, we know damn well not to even go there. That's not even wise. And one, because stealing and shit is off. It's a sin. All right, but two, because that will be a lack of wisdom by you going and basically forcefully putting yourself in an environment where there's gonna be danger around, because it's gonna be people going there with their guns. There's gonna be people getting unalived in them stores, man. A good movie to watch on that is World War Z, and also I think it's, I forgot. Oh, it's called Greenland. Where basically there's gonna be meteors hitting the earth. They show you it's like a pre-apocalyptic society where people going in stores and they stealing shit. They stealing medication and they in there with their guns, and you know what I mean. And one thing that the elder Amon Gabar mentioned was that you got people out here that's that's not on, that's not SNAP recipients. They may make enough shekels to pay for groceries with their own money. You know what I mean, with the dollar. And you're gonna have people going in there trying to stealing shit, walking out, and you really think people that do gotta pay their hard-earned money on groceries that don't get these government benefits is just gonna let them do that? Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like a good I guess you could say a good example of that would be Hurricane Katrina, man. It was all type of shit happening with that. You know what I mean? That's a whole different lesson for a different time. But it was a lot of shit happening. You know what I mean? You had Esau, who was working in police departments, going around and murdering Jakes and all type of shit, trying to prevent people from, they was looting and shit the whole time. But they was going and preventing people from looting and shit. You know what I mean? It's gonna be chaotic, man. All right. But let me read this over again. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. All right. These people, they gonna fight tooth and nail, man. All right. These people, they gonna be going in there. They gonna be seeing their kids hungry and shit. They not gonna, have enough money to pay for food, because the money that they working for, they got to pay for rent and shit, and they behind on bills and all type. That's gonna cause people to say fuck this shit, and they gonna go and they gonna show, they gonna show how desperate they is, which is ultimately what Esau want, man. All right, because we know that they do plan on declaring for martial law, and it's also biblical, man. All right, so I want to play this TikTok, and then I'm gonna.
You know why I don't get into the whole.
I'm gonna play this TikTok, and then I'm gonna.
We may see nationwide riots and Trump declaring that martial law within the next 3 weeks. Let me cook. So, backstory a little bit. I think the timeline here is stepping up a lot. Here's why. Total Hypocrisy did a great video on Trump potentially being terminal health-wise, okay? What does that mean? Well, she basically says he's stepping up at how fast he does stuff, okay? So, this is why I think the timelines have changed. The Big Beautiful Bill was going to start kicking people off of SNAP benefits, 30.1 or 3.2 million people, in January of 2026, okay? It's a lot of people to not be able to get food. Now, potentially with Total Hypocrisy's video and things getting more intense, they might want to, they're kicking right now, because of the government shutdown, in November, 41.7 million Americans, which is 12.3% of the population, they're not getting SNAP benefits on November 1. It's not happening. Now, hear me out. That is, and November 1st is a Saturday, okay? And then that means October 31st, Halloween, you're expecting 41.7 million people are expecting, roughly, the states are a little different, money to hit their accounts. It's not going to be there, okay? And if that happens, when you're hungry, all bets are off. Survival is not a subscription. You shouldn't have to, like, if you can't afford something, you shouldn't die. And I see no moral issue at all with someone stealing food if they can't afford food. And I don't, like, that's just fucking humanity, right? Imagine what's going to happen, though. Again, I've never been in long-term food insecurity. I've had two experiences in my life where I was backpacking and I ran out of food for more than a day. And in that short time frame, I can tell you from my own personal experience, my perspectives on the world changed. And my morals and what I was willing to do changed when you don't have food, okay? Again, that's not long-term insecurity, and it's not just my perspective, okay? So imagine this. If you have work on Monday and you know you have a little bit of food in the pantry, but you can't miss work because you need fucking money, right? This weekend is a great time to go out. Like, if you're seeing people robbing the freaking grocery stores, supermarkets, and Walmarts and all that in this country, that weekend,
Skin for skin will a man give for his life. People gonna get real desperate, or they're gonna make a decision, based off a damn vain opinion or whatever, and you're gonna go out there on some unwise shit, and the Lord is gonna take you back to the spirit world, man. All right, so for brothers out there, don't tempt the Lord by going to a damn grocery store and trying to loot. All right, you probably gonna get something you ain't really want. All right, that's just using wisdom.
I'm gonna go out and get all my food too. If you see a lot of people running and stealing their shit, I'm gonna go steal that shit too. So imagine this, okay? You have Halloween.
It's like, I just wanted to add, and that's something that Esau could use to basically plant a psyop, right? Because what this sounds like is the whole BLM shit. Whenever they had little plants, they go and start breaking windows and start doing all that shit, so everybody else can jump on board to do that. Esau just may send, a agent to go and start stealing shit to try to, because what he say, if I see people stealing shit, that I'm gonna start stealing too. It's not just him that thinks like that. All right, the average Joe out here thinks like that. So if it ain't nothing for Esau to basically take advantage of this and send somebody to basically start stealing, a couple people to start stealing, running out the grocery stores and shit to get everybody on board, man. Come on now, we in them times.
2 full days, and then the next week, and it's only going to get worse as the government shutdown goes on because people don't have money to buy food, right? You're going to have governors begging Trump to send in the National Guard. Like, they're going to deploy the National Guard themselves, okay? That's not going to be enough because it's 12.3% of the population, okay? Then Trump's going to be like, okay, Insurrection Act. It's crazy. I need to deploy the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy, all of that, okay? You're not going to have a lot of pushback from the military on that. We have nationwide riots and the National Guard can't keep up, okay? So that's happening. And then, if it's not quelled and it's not slowed down, because it's only going to get worse with time, Trump goes and declares martial law. Martial law, I can do a whole other video on that, but that's a different can of worms. And the military wouldn't oppose that because you're seeing, and the governors probably wouldn't either, you're seeing nationwide protests, right? Like, you're seeing grocery stores burn across this country. People will be freaking out. And because of that, I can see him declaring martial law. And if that happens, I'll do a video if you're curious. This may be Trump trying to get his agenda done now. And he'd be able to with that. Again, I hope that I'm wrong, y'all. I hope that I'm overreacting. But what do y'all think? Like, is this a vital?
Hey, And I hope so too. And this is why brothers, through the spirit call Trump Nero. All right, he is that same, as the scripture says in the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, that cruel Lord, man. He is that cruel Lord. This is why as soon as he got in office, he started getting shit done, man. All right, he started getting shit done, so he could be that man to really get this shit going. And by the way it looks, it looks like he is that man, and I don't run to side he is. All right, but this is 2 Ezra 15 and 19. All right, I'm gonna start at 18. This is the scripture that is yelling off the page, man, that the elder Amon Gabar was referring to. All right, this scripture is yelling off the page. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, their houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Here's the point. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. 46 million estimated to go without SNAP EBT. You know what I mean? And as he said, it's just only going to continue to get worse as the days go on. All right, as the government shutdown goes on. And a good movie to, look at that'll show that is the American Blackout, man. All right, they don't put that shit out for no reason, man. They show you before they tell you. Like the Edomite that they had unalive because he was putting out some shit called the Gray State. Shows you martial law being declared in the United States and all that, man. They end up taking them out. But with that being said, Lord willing, the lesson was edifying, and that I did prove some points, for you brothers and sisters, man. So with that being said, Lord willing, the Most High really get this shit going, man. Get it to where that cruel Lord really start to, apply pressure, man. So with that being said, I don't run to side. This lesson was edifying. Call out Yahweh Shema Shai by Shema Kakadash Shalom. Yahweh Shema Shai Barakatah.